You are listening to another episode of the End Zone Club. Strap your seatbelts and let's get ready to get this thing started in 3, 2, 1. Hey guys, this is your host Anthony Mitchell again with another edition of the End Zone Club. And before I, of course, get into my topic for today, I want to thank you guys for taking the time to listen to our last episode called Broken Trust. Now, as I said when I put the story out, I knew that I was going to get a little feedback, maybe from some people who were a little familiar with me during that time. They're going to know who I was talking about. And I got calls immediately. Everybody was dropping names, trying to put clues together. You know, they were taking the pieces of the puzzle and seeing if their ideas fit. And I'm just going to say, I'm never going to tell. But anyway, guys, one of my friends that listened to the pod asked me to get on here and encourage you guys to give me some follow-up questions. After you listened to Broken Trust, where was your mind at? What were some things you were thinking? What were some thoughts you were having? Because we want to do a follow-up episode with that. And we really want to blow the top off, okay? So make sure if you look on the side, there will be a question asked that you can reply to. And please do that for me. Ask some questions, make some statements, some comments, because when we do our follow-up episode, we are going to get into what our listeners are thinking. Get it? All right, got it, good. Of course, if I'm on here again, that means I have another topic. And this has just been a continuation of a conversation that has popped up so many times around me, with me, and in regards to me over the past few months that I feel like I would be depriving you guys of a positive, powerful conversation. And that is in the area of your purpose. It's not often that at my age, there are a lot of people that approach me because they have not found their purpose, which is, what was I created to do? If you have ever had that question, God, what did you put me here on this earth to accomplish? Today's episode is just for you. All right, so do an episode like purpose. I've had to pray, God kind of give me the ability to navigate through this one, because purpose can be tricky. It's tricky because now with society and everybody's trying to find their own truths and, live their lives the way that they feel best. Sometimes in this process, we forget that God was intentional with our creation. Now, for some people, that may be deemed as a controversial statement, but I think it's encouraging to know that God had something very specific in mind when he placed us here in this earth. Let's put that first and foremost. God was intentional with what he was doing when he put us here where he put us, because you guys have to be honest, like, the earth didn't just start the day that we came. I mean, there have been time periods way before us that God also could have placed us in. But one of the firm realities, I believe, is that he knew we could flourish the best when we were placed here. And with that being said, I have come to a conclusion that there are a lot of even adults who have a sense of unfulfillingness in their life that for whatever reason, they're kind of, if it were like playing a game of darts and you're trying to hit the bullseye in the middle, it's like we're getting all around the outside with everything we're doing. We're hitting all around the outside with various forms of entertainment, various forms of escape, various forms of temporary highs and different things, and never realizing why we can't come to full fulfillment and enjoyment out of what we're doing in life. And a lot of times that's because we're living a very unpurposed filled life. We're living a life that is not in our purpose. When you don't know what you were created to do, the enemy can also give you every form of lie, every form of identity crisis, every form of false reality and narratives over your life that don't fit the docket of who God says you are. So when we're talking about purpose, now we're beginning to walk into the light of who God created us to be. And this is a journey that every one of us have to take, and that's knowing, who am I and why am I here? You know, a lot of people go through a lot of highs and lows trying to find this, but today I want to probably lay out to you just a few simple thoughts that I want you to think. I want you to ask your friends. You know, I've got such an improper way of saying things, but I've got some things I want to put out to you guys, and I want you to just do a little homework. And if you do this homework, I think you'll be this much closer. But as it pertains to my journey, everybody around me probably saw parts of who I was way before I ever saw it manifested. I remember when I was growing up, my dad used to share these stories with me about how destructive I was. Right? I was this big man child, ate a lot, real fat, you know, jolly kid, always laughing. Can you see that now? But if you gave me a bottle, it wasn't long before that bottle became like Bam Bam from the Flintstones. I was, you know, wearing stuff out. I was breaking tables, speaker boxes, all of these things. And it got to a point where you just could not leave me alone because I'd break a TV or whatever. I mean, I was just bam, bam, bam and everything with this bottle. So for those who had experienced this part of me from a young age, it wasn't strange when they saw me become a drummer. You know, my passion for music started at a very young age. And really now, like if you're coming probably in my life at the last, 10, maybe even 15-year juncture, you really didn't see my passion for music, a passion that kept me up all night, a passion that was inspired anytime I saw like people doing what I wanted to do. It was just a natural magnetism. If you're gifted in the area of music, probably at some chances, people that are of note, and even a lot of underground people, I have probably checked you out at some point and have drawn some kind of inspiration. And that's how purpose acts as a magnet for our lives. I want you guys to think about it before we get too deep into this conversation. What are some things? What are some talents? What are some gifts? What are some things that you're naturally attracted to? Now, that's not saying you were called to be the next Beyonce, or saying you were called to be the next Shakira, or you were called to be the next. However, sometimes what happens is in that sense of that magnetism, what you're being drawn to, what's pulling you, sometimes there's a niche for you. Everybody that's in the music industry isn't an artist. Everybody in the music industry isn't a singer or entertainer. I mean, there were publicists. There were people that handle public relations. There were people that handle the graphic designs. There were people that handle the community aspect of it. And there are people that handle the publishing aspect. But there are so many things. However, there's for a lot of people that are passionate, a lot of them have a love for music. And it's the same way with purpose. A lot of us are drawn and magnetized to certain things, certain personalities, certain people, because often that's what's in us. So if you want to start with the genesis of, God, what may I be good at? Look at some of the things you were drawn to. I have seen some people that have, for example, a struggle with chemical imbalances and a struggle with, broken things. Sometimes those people are drawn to help the very people that they are. Hello, I don't even have to finish that statement. But some of them are designed, created, have a heart, a natural sense of empathy and understanding of these things because of things they've gone through. So going back to my natural attraction for music, one of the guys that has, the artist that I absolutely love the most, And I'm not going to say it's close, especially now that Michael Jackson is no longer here. I loved his energy. I'm an energy guy. I'm attracted to people that have energy that you can feel. My first musical inspiration was Stevie Wonder. Love Stevie Wonder. Every time you hear Stevie play, you can tell that Stevie was a guy that honed his craft. And, as a fledgling young musician, somebody that was still learning octaves and scales and that was learning the rudiments, that was understanding what keys were and harmony and rhythm, I would hear Stevie and it felt like he was at the top of the pinnacle. And man, just the way he could move people with his chords and his songs was impressive. And even to reinforce this idea, I was watching recently an award show that Jamie Foxx was hosting, and he comes out and he starts, and you may have seen this or maybe you'll YouTube it, but he starts off by saying, a lot of people, we have cracked jokes about Stevie, whatever, but he's like, man, just in one of his braids, he has more talent than, a majority of the artists out. And now that I am a musician, so to speak, and I have played, I was a church drummer for 15 years, played revivals, played on big stages, traveled and played, got a lot of experience doing that. It's like my eyes visually are trained as I'm watching him perform. I'm looking through the crowd and I can naturally tell you what a lot of the entertainers are just upon how they are all responding to this same musical expression. So as this man is singing, I'm watching Jay-Z on the front row. He's rocking from side to side. He's talking to Beyonce. I can tell he's rapping. I could tell this music has influenced his lyrical flow. Then you start panning through the crowd a little more, and I see some comedians that are smiling and laughing in their heads now. I can see it. The jokes are beginning to form. And then I'm panning some more. There's Pharrell. Pharrell is moving his hands like he's playing a keyboard, and then he's tinkering around in his head. Naturally, it comes to him, but he is producing the music. He is thinking sound quality. He's thinking some things that can go here and there. It's just a natural progression. So even as I keep panning, there's Babyface. He's got his shades on. He's not moving, but he's listening to the whole musical experience. And I know what's going through his mind. He's like, perfection. This is a man that has put out hit after hit. When he hears a hit, he knows it. And something within him recognizes what's going on. Right? So as I'm panning through the crowd more, I see, again, there's Beyonce. There are other singers, they've got their finger to their ear, their index finger pointed in their ear where it closes so they can hear themselves. They're singing along, but now they're wanting to make sure they're in the right pitch, the right sound, the right key, the right note. They're wanting to, maybe riff a little bit melodically. That's what purpose does. Purpose is the way we respond to the world around us. Our purpose will manifest like that. It's the same way Stevie Wonder is playing hit after hit. It's like in our daily lives, it's playing this song, it's playing this tune, it's in its environment, doing what life does, and all of us are hearing the same song, but we are responding differently. Maybe for me, as a producer, I'm looking around the crowd and I'm thinking, how can we best get some young people in this position to maybe help these community ills? Or maybe I'm that singer that's standing in the corner and I'm thinking, well, maybe if I do this, this is what happens. And you see all of this comes together, and this is what makes a hit. It takes more than just good production. You got to have a singer. Not just any singer, but not just a background singer, not just a singer that can hold a tune, but now the one that can move the crowd. We start seeing all of these forms and gifts and talents come together, but that's what purpose does. Pay attention to how you're responding to the melody life is playing as you're driving, listening to the news, watching or listening to the radio, or you're hearing things and you're hearing your daily stories. How does your heart respond naturally to life's daily problems? Are you the person that's in the gap that's thinking, hey, I can help these people? Are you the one that's in the gap, not really, I'm not saying criticizing, but analyzing? Are you the person that's in the gap coming up with creative ways, or you're seeing it alternately, or you've got a different point of view? That's what purpose does. It does not allow us all to have the same expression, but ultimately we all want to get to the same goal, which is, hey, I want fulfillment in life. I want this feeling of knowing who I am and where I fit in. And when I do that and I can sink my boots in the ground and I can do my portion, makes me feel like I'm actually contributing to the life around me. I'm sorry, guys. Sorry for that. So when we think about purpose, of course, we have to realize that I would take a piece of paper and draw basically a cross on it. In one corner, I would put talents, and the other corner, I would put gifts. Now, often the talents we have are designed to help our natural life. Do you draw? Do you sing? Do you do many of these different things? But however, some of these talents also can become spiritual components. A gifted singer can make people feel ways that they can move them in ways that they want to move them. A very gifted artist that can draw a picture and emulate emotions and feelings in people. You can take a gifted orator, somebody that can speak, somebody that's pervasive, somebody that can move a crowd, and they can lead men to repentance. They can lead men to inspiration and empowerment. They can lead women to change lives. And that's off of a gift. That's off of a talent. So first, I would encourage you, identify your gifts, identify your talents. And if you don't know what your gift or your talent may be, I challenge you to listen to the people around you. Ask them, what am I good at? What are some talents that I've got? Because again, going back to my natural attraction to music, I never realized I was doing this from a young age, but anytime you gave me a notebook, you gave me a hard surface, a desk, I would take my thumbs and I'm drumming out patterns. It was natural, so natural. I didn't notice myself doing it, but everybody else around me did. Those that were sensitive to sound, those that hated weird, just random beats were paying attention. So by the time I was 9, 10, 11, 12, and finally started, learning how to play the drums, got my first drum set, started learning the, basic rudiments. I remember I had a conversation with a family member. I'm like, hey, I'm learning how to play the drums. And they're like, dude, you've been playing the drums all your life. It's just now you finally caught up with it. Ask the people around you, what are some things I'm good at? And then from there, if you'll start honing on that, I guarantee you, with things that you're gifted in, things that God has given you talents in, sometimes with that there come assignments. This is when you really start walking more in purpose, when you start understanding. It's like me being in the military. My calling is to serve this country and to protect it from terrorists, both domestic and foreign, or foreign and domestic, how we say it in our oath of enlistment. However, sometimes there are assignments that come up within that oath that require immediate attention. Sometimes today's assignment may be a PT test. Tomorrow's assignment may be, hey, we need to volunteer here. That next assignment may be, hey, we need to have a temporary duty here. But sometimes God allows us daily assignments, weekly, monthly, that give our gift opportunity. Maybe it's just a trade show. Maybe you've been painting some canvases and you're just doing it in the intents of your home, but you don't realize how gifted you are, or just the capacity you can to reach people. As you're honing that gift, sometimes you need to let it out. Sometimes instead of just singing in the shower, maybe you should sing for somebody who's down. Maybe you should sing for some people who are going through something. Maybe you should sing for some people who need some sense of inspiration, because your gift is designed to serve and to bless others. It's not just for you. I've got some friends who are hilarious. I mean, they are hilarious. And I always tell them, hey, you should start a podcast. I'm telling you, people would come. I've got friends, I'm like, hey, listen, you should open mic comedy night at the comedy club. You should take a chance at it because you are hilarious. And they say, oh, no, I just don't have the confidence. My prayer is, if confidence is what is holding you back from walking in your potential, may God increase it, not to make you self-aware, not to make you egotistical, but that your gift can serve the people that it was designed to serve, to be a blessing. I'm telling you, when you're a blessing to the people around you, it makes you feel so much better about yourself, even when you don't feel the best. That's a true statement. Then from there, guys, we have a calling. Our calling is to serve. Our calling is for our gift to bless people, which also we will call a vocation. Calling and vocation. And then from there, God gives us strong urges to do things and to hone our gifts. Work on that. Work on that. Whatever you have begin to now identify that, hey, I'm good at baking cakes. Hey, I'm good at creative ideas. I'm good at doing administrative processes. I'm good at organizing things. I'm good at bringing people together, whatever that gift is. Now start learning the, effective habits of being efficient in that. Begin to learn that thing through and through. When we were musicians and you were drummers, very great drummers would tell you it's not just about doing a drum roll, but it's actually knowing your rudiments, being able to play that rudiments in different speeds, at different patterns. Sometimes you can play a beat in time. Everything's on a 4x4 concept. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how we often hear music. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. But then some drummers that are reading between the lines, or people that are like Kanye that are seeing things that normal minds aren't seeing, sometimes they read 1 and 2, 3, 4, 1 and a 2, and they start displacing beats. So now they're hearing things that we're not hearing. And then when the normal ear hear it, it's like, man, y'all remember that Kanye West too, don't you? That Through the Wire Kanye, that was some of the most phenomenal production we had ever seen. But this was a man that knew his call, knew his gift, knew his ability. He tapped into it. He started working at it until now, instead of just drawing with a pencil, he's doing watercolors. Instead of just doing watercolors, you're into acrylics, you're into blending, you're into shading. Now you're able to do this upside down. Now you're able to do this with fluorescent lights and on canvases or on sidewalks and murals. You're expanding and growing. Sometimes you don't see the growth in your journey, but it's all part of your process. Guys, I could go on and on with this one, but I want you guys to pay attention to the way you're responding to the melody that life is playing you. I see it all the time. There are commercials that come on about kids in needs, and then naturally some people's hearts leap in that direction because they want to be foster parents. They want to help kids that are needed. They want to help kids regardless of their color, regardless of their culture, regardless of where they come from. All they know is they want to be a blessing to these kids that seem like they need them. If that is you, you may not see it, but right now that's the direction God is calling your life. Go do it. Be great at it. Be a blessing. Give it your all. And regardless of the outcome, you can live knowing you have fulfilled your assignment. Guys, if you would like more on this topic also, I'd like for you to drop in the comment section more about purpose, because man, I dropped a thought yesterday on Facebook, and within the first hour I had about 2,500 views, had about 60 likes. So I knew this was a topic that a lot of people wanted to hear. Anyway, guys, I could talk all day, but I'm not. I'm going to allow you to be productive and get on about your days. But I appreciate all of my listeners. I encourage you to like, to subscribe, hit the notification bell so that every time a new episode comes out, you can be alerted. Maybe next time God will bless us with a good special guest that could make you guys not to have to hear me as much. But until next time, this is the End Zone Club, and of course, this is where we have conversation that are designed to push us from just having potential to actually walking in our purpose. Be blessed.